Deep in the heart of the Amazon, where the green canopy swallows the sky,
and the air hums with the breath of a million unseen lives, lies the greatest test of human endurance on Earth. This is a place where time moves differently, where ancient spirits are said to wander, and where the line between reality and myth dissolves into the thick, wet heat. It is a green maze with no exit, a paradise that can become a prison in an instant. And in 1925, one man, a British explorer named Colonel Percy Fawcett, ventured into its deepest shadows in search of a lost city and vanished without a trace. He was not the first nor the last to be consumed by the Amazon's silence. But his story is the one that echoes the loudest, a haunting symphony of obsession, courage, and the terrifying possibility of being utterly, completely alone. Tonight we leave the frozen mountains behind and descend into the world's greatest jungle. We follow the last known footsteps of Percy Fawcett, his son Jack, and their companion Raleigh Rimmel, as they journeyed towards what Fawcett called Z, the forgotten city of an ancient civilization. He was a seasoned explorer, a man who had survived countless expeditions, who respected the jungle, but did not fear it. He carried a simple, unshakable belief. Somewhere in that uncharted green vastness, a city of gold and stone awaited discovery. His final letter home was hopeful, determined. And then, nothing. Radio silence. The jungle had closed its mouth. Search parties found only rumors, fragments, and eerie clues. A compass, a nameplate, stories from indigenous tribes of white men who walked into the forest and never walked out. Some say Fawcett found his city and chose to stay. Others whisper of tragedy, disease, animal attack, or a more sinister fate at the hands of isolated tribes. But there is another layer to this story, one rarely told in the history books. It is the story not just of disappearance, but of survival. The raw, minute-by-minute account of what it means to be lost in a place that does not want you. Imagine it. The crushing weight of humidity. The constant chorus of insects. A sound so dense it becomes a form of silence. The feeling that the trees themselves are watching. You are separated from your group. Your compass is broken. The sun, hidden by the canopy, offers no direction. Every vine looks the same. Every shadow could hide a threat. This is the Amazon's true nature. Not a passive backdrop, but an active, breathing entity that tests the very core of your sanity. Percy Fawcett knew this. In his early journals, he wrote of the feeling of being an unwelcome guest in a house that has stood for millennia. He spoke of strange sounds at night, not animal, not human, that seemed to come from the air itself. He documented encounters with tribes who spoke of the guardians of the forest, spirits that protected the ancient places. Were these superstitions? Or was Fawcett, a rational military man, picking up on something older and more profound? His final expedition was different. He was older, more driven, almost mystical in his conviction. He left behind instructions that no rescue party should be sent if he vanished. It was as if he was welcoming the unknown. The last confirmed sighting placed his small party at a campsite near the upper Xingu River. Their supplies were low, but their spirits, according to a native guide who left them there, were high. Fawcett pointed ahead, into a region so dense no map existed. That is where we will find it, he said. And then they walked. The green swallowed them. What happened in the days and weeks that followed is a canvas for our darkest fears and wildest hopes. Did they succumb to hunger, fever, or the poisonous bite of a spider? Did they find the fabled city and enter a world from which they could not return? Or did the jungle, in its ancient wisdom, simply absorb them, luring their existence into legend? To understand, we must try to walk beside them, to feel the same mud underfoot, to swat at the same clouds of mosquitoes, to face the same creeping dread when the path vanishes. This is not just an adventure story. It is a meditation on the human spirit in the face of the absolute unknown. It is about the will to survive, not just physically, but mentally, when every landmark of your former world is gone. So settle deeper into your chair. Let the sounds of the night outside your window become the sounds of the Amazon. The rustle of leaves, the distant call of something unfamiliar. We are about to step off the map. The first few hours after crossing the threshold from known to unknown carry a strange electric energy. Every sense is heightened. The scent of damp earth and rotting vegetation is overpowering. The buzz of cicadas vibrates in your teeth. Fawcett's small party would have moved with deliberate, careful steps, their machetes hacking at a living green wall that seemed to stitch itself back together moments after they passed. Their world shrunk to a small circle of visibility. The compass was their only tether to the concept of direction. But in the Amazon, magnetic anomalies are common, and a compass can become a liar. We can imagine Fawcett, sweat-soaked and grim, checking the instrument repeatedly, a flicker of doubt crossing his weathered face as the needle quivered. His son Jack, younger, stronger, perhaps still burning with the adventure of it all. Rimmel, the loyal friend, following with quiet resolve. Their goal was clear, but their path was not. Survival in the Amazon is a brutal arithmetic of calories and hydration. The jungle is deceptive in its abundance. While it teems with life, most of it is inedible, poisonous, or fiercely defended. A parched explorer might see a vibrant, enticing fruit, only to have their throat swell shut minutes after tasting it. Water in stagnant pools carries parasites that can lay waste to an intestine. Fawcett, drawing on years of experience, would have known to boil every sip, to be wary of every brightly colored frog or insect. But knowledge is one thing. The grinding, exhausting reality is another. As days turned into a week, their supplies of tinned food would dwindle. The heavy, protein-rich ration packs were the first to go. Then they would rely on hunting and foraging. A shot from Fawcett's rifle would echo through the trees, a shocking violation of the jungle's chorus, possibly scaring away more game than it secured. Each bullet expended was a precious resource lost. They might have trapped small animals, fished in the black water streams, their hands growing steadier with hunger. But the Amazon's greatest weapon is not its predators, nor its poison. It is the psychological siege, the isolation. It is the realization that you could scream for days and no human ear would hear you, that you are a speck in an empire of green. This isolation breeds hallucinations. The mind, deprived of familiar input, begins to project. The tangled roots become serpents. The distant cry of a howler monkey becomes a human shout. Fawcett had written of this in earlier trips, of seeing things from the corner of the eye that were not there. For a man already inclined towards the mystical, this sensory deprivation could have blurred his reality. Did he begin to see the shapes of ancient temples in the rock formations? Did he hear the whisper of lost civilizations in the wind? His conviction in Z could have transformed from a theory into a tangible, beckoning presence, leading him deeper into the trap. Then come the nights. In the deep jungle, night is not an absence of light, but the emergence of a different world. The temperature drops. The chorus changes pitch. New eyes gleam in the darkness. The rustling in the undergrowth comes closer. Sleep, when it comes, is fractured and shallow. Every snap of a twig is a threat. The fire becomes not just a source of warmth and a tool for cooking, but a sacred circle of light, holding back the unknown. Sitting by that fire, the three men would have spoken in hushed tones. Did Fawcett repeat his theories, weaving stories of El Dorado to keep their spirits alive? Did Jack, his body aching with fatigue, ever question his father's dream? Their dynamic would have been strained, compressed by the immense pressure of their surroundings. And then, the inevitable. Illness. A mosquito bite transmitting malaria or yellow fever. A cut on the leg. Insignificant at first, now festering in the humid air. blooming into a seething infection. Fever would set in, bringing with it chills that shook the body even in the sweltering heat. Delirium. In such a state, the simplest task, purifying water, keeping the fire lit, becomes a Herculean effort. One man falls ill, and the survival burden doubles for the others. They must carry extra gear, forage for medicine they likely don't have, making decisions with minds clouded by exhaustion and fear. It is here, in this vulnerable, broken state, that the jungle feels most sentient, most predatory. It is also here that the indigenous stories Fawcett so meticulously collected take on a new, ominous meaning. Tribes like the Kalapalo, who decades later would tell tales of the, quote, 3 white men, spoke of them being peaceful but doomed. They told of seeing their smoke, then seeing it no more. Some stories passed down through generations suggest the explorers encountered a tribe that was not friendly, that a conflict arose over a misunderstood gesture, a cultural trespass. Other, more chilling tales speak of something else entirely. Not men, but beings that guard the deepest parts of the forest. The Amazon is one of the last places on Earth where uncontacted tribes still exist, living in voluntary isolation for millennia. What if Fawcett's party, in their disoriented state, stumbled into a territory protected by such people? To them, the explorers would not be intrepid adventurers, but terrifying, pale invaders from another world. The outcome of such an encounter is not hard to imagine. Alternatively, the Earth itself may have claimed them. Swamps can swallow a person whole in minutes. A river, swollen by a sudden upstream rain, can become a torrential killer. A venomous snake, camouflaged on a branch, can strike with lightning speed. The Amazon offers 100 quiet, natural endings. But Fawcett's story refuses a quiet ending, because the lack of evidence is the evidence. No graves were found, no scattered bones that matched, no piles of equipment. It was as if they were plucked from the path. This complete vanishing act is what fuels the legend. It suggests a finality that was either meticulously orchestrated by nature, a flash flood washing everything away, or something that defies our standard narratives. In his final letter, Fawcett himself hinted he might not return to the modern world. Was this a premonition or a declaration of intent? Did he in the end find not a city of gold, but a different kind of transcendence? The jungle does not give up its secrets. It only gives us echoes. The echo of a machete strike that fell silent. The echo of a lost man's hope. The echo that we, sitting in our safe, illuminated rooms, listen to in the rain, wondering what it would be like to be so utterly, profoundly lost. The jungle did not announce their end with a crash or a final battle cry. It likely came with a whisper, a feverish breath that grew weaker, a final fading glance between father and son. Or perhaps, in a twist far stranger than fiction, it never came at all. The enduring power of the Percy Fawcett story lies in its unresolvable ambiguity. He left the world a perfect mystery, a story with a beginning and a middle, but no conclusive end. And in doing so, he achieved a different kind of immortality. He became part of the Amazon's own mythology. In the years following his disappearance, over 100 people would die trying to find him. Adventurers, fortune hunters, and the simply curious were drawn into the green vortex by his legend, many meeting their own grim fates. The Amazon, it seemed, was claiming a tribute for the audacity of Fawcett's dream. Each failed expedition added another layer to the myth. Some returned with tantalizing, unverifiable artifacts. A nameplate claimed to be Fawcett's, a tribal story of an aging white chief living deep in the forest. In 1927, a missionary reported being shown a pair of bones said to belong to Fawcett and his son. A later investigation deemed them unrelated. The jungle was generous with clues, but miserly with truth. The most compelling evidence surfaced decades later. In 1951, a Brazilian explorer claimed to have found a skeleton of a tall white man near the Kalapalo River. In the 1990s, a journalist following Fawcett's trail was shown ancient-looking stones that could have been part of a lost settlement. Most convincingly, modern satellite imagery and LiDAR technology have since revealed the Amazon was indeed home to vast, complex civilizations. Networks of towns, roads, and earthworks long swallowed by the forest. Fawcett's City of Z was not a madman's fantasy. It was a prescient hypothesis. He was right about the past, but tragically wrong about his ability to conquer the present. So what truly happened? The most plausible theory is a sad, slow surrender to the jungle's mundane brutality. Sickness, starvation, and a final desperate conflict with a hostile tribe.
Yet the romantic and the explorer in us resist this.
We are left with the haunting possibility that Fawcett achieved a paradoxical victory. He vanished so completely that he transcended history and entered the realm of legend. He became as much a spirit of the Amazon as the tales he sought. Tonight, as our own journey through his story ends, let's not think of it as a tragedy, but as a profound meditation on the human relationship with the wild. The Amazon is not a puzzle to be solved, but a presence to be acknowledged. It is the last great repository of the unknown on our planet.
Fawcett was drawn to it by a flame that burns in all of us.
The need to see what lies beyond the map, to touch the edges of the world. His mistake, perhaps, was believing he could own that mystery, rather than letting it own him. His final campfire has long been cold. The whispers in the trees have moved on to new stories. But if you listen closely to the rain, or in the deep quiet of a sleepless night, you might hear the faintest echo of his quest. It's the sound of a machete cutting through endless green. The sound of a man chasing a dream so beautiful, he was willing to let the world swallow him whole. So let us leave him there, not as a victim, but as a permanent resident of the greatest wilderness of all. He is in the drip of water from a giant leaf, in the shadow that moves just outside the firelight, in the silent starlit clearing where ancient stones sleep under the roots. Percy Fawcett is no longer lost. He is simply part of the forest.
Thank you for wandering into the green with us.
May your dreams be filled with adventurous spirits and quiet, untamed places.
Remember, some paths are meant to be walked in stories.
And some stories are meant to remain forever, wonderfully unresolved. This has been Wilderness Dreams. Sleep well, explorers.